So let's start. Good morning, everybody. So I am Caroline Barrel, the Ontochain coordinator. Just before starting, I would like to inform you that this talk will be recorded so that eventually you can access to it later on. I also want to say that we consider that it's not bad to recap a bit on in introduction on how Ontochain will work. So sorry for those that have already participated in the previous webinar. You will probably hear quite the same thing. So today, the agenda will be as follows. The frame of the Ontochain action with the focus on the open call 1 that will be discussed by me. Then Anthony Simone from Exec will present you how to use the Exec platform as a test bed in Ontochain. And finally, Thanasis Papaioannou from the University of Economics in Athens will present you a part on blockchain economy and how it fits with Ontochain. So the Ontochain in brief, the project. Sorry, you can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the Ontochain project is a European project funded by the Commission, and it is also part of the European Commission Next Generation Internet Initiative. It has been launched in September 2020 to empower innovators and end users through 3 open calls to develop a blockchain-based knowledge management solution that will be part of a novel protocol suite and software ecosystem for a better share of knowledge and value. Around 4.2 million euro will be distributed during this program, along with mentoring with best international experts in semantic web, linked data, oncology, and ontology, engineering, blockchain interoperability, knowledge management, distribute and decentralized computing, and so forth. The Ontochain concept, today people should be empowered by means of collective organization as well as for contribution and use of knowledge, thanks to solutions that support transparency, trust, plurality, and democracy. So this is the goal of Ontochain, to elaborate an ecosystem of novel software used to build trustworthy applications with advanced knowledge management mechanisms for various domains such as health, economy, mobility, public services, energy and sustainability, news, media, entertainment, industry 4.0, tourism, etc. Our backbone, of course, being the merging of semantic web and blockchain. Regarding the cascade funding mechanism and the objective of each of the 3 calls, we will have the first call, namely research, that will be launched soon. So the announcement will be done. This is an indicative date, but you can already take care of that. So the 2 of November and the closure date will be at the end of November. The call budget is 1.14 million euro. You will have to establish the Ontochain framework as a human-centric, decentralized, and trustworthy solution based on the available technology. The call 2 will build on the results of call 1, and we intend to launch it in 2021-2022 The call budget is €1,032,000. You will have to build the ONTOCHAIN concept for the creation of a trustworthy information exchange process and a more transactional content handling. You will have also to create the ONTOCHAIN framework prototype. So all this, of course, based on the outcome of the call 1. Regarding call 3, namely application and experimentation, we intend to launch it in 2022, 2023. The call budget, it's about €1.75 million. You will exploit the ONTOCHAIN solution for real-life use cases. Of course, all along the free call, you will benefit from coaching and possible access to specific infrastructure. If we focus on call 1, so the objective is to establish the ONTOCHAIN framework as a human-centric, decentralized, and trustworthy solution. This will be done around 6 challenges. In fact, you will have to choose one of these 6 challenges and propose a research. So let's go challenge by challenge. So the application 1. The idea is to define a typical ONTOCHAIN application or service for trustworthy content handling and trustworthy knowledge and information exchange. Of course, in the guideline for applicants, you will have all the requirement, constraints, the expected outcome, etc., etc. Regarding the semantic interoperability, you will have to develop a trustworthy, privacy-preserving, secure, transparent, democratic, and traceable approach to manage access and operation over ontology, metadata, data, knowledge, and information. Regarding the topic 3, on-chain data management, you will have to design and develop a set of prototype functionalities for on-chain data management. If you choose the topic for off-chain knowledge management, the idea will be to design and develop initial prototype for off-chain knowledge management that support the various identified use cases and application domain of the ONTOCHAIN project. For the ecosystem economy topic, the idea will be to provide a market framework and business model for the operation of ecosystems such as the ONTOCHAIN one, based on technological area addressed by ONTOCHAIN through blockchain, semantic web, Internet of Things, and so forth. Finally, if you choose the ecosystem scalability and the integration topic, the idea will be to build a semantically complex and dynamic ecosystem, as well as a decentralized testing environment with the participation of diverse stakeholders, and with a key requirement to integrate and support, of course, the initial ONTOCHAIN application. So this call will be breakdown in 3 phases. The first phase will last 3 months. 15 to 18 projects will be selected among the 6 challenges that we just talked about. So you will have to propose a research project for one of these 6 challenges. For the phase 2, that research award that will last 5 months, only 12 projects from the starting pool will be retained. So from phase 1, around 2 projects per challenge. And you will have to further elaborate the concept proposed in phase 1 and prepare design specification that will be implemented during the open call 2. Regarding phase 3, the challenges for conference, it will last 1 month, and the best publication, whatever the phases per challenge, will be awarded. So now, just to speed up a bit the discussion, we have anticipate some questions, especially regarding three aspects. So who is eligible, how to participate, the Ontochain support, what is it? So for who is eligible, one question that appears frequently is who is eligible for the open call 1. And I would like to say that internet technologies, researchers and innovators, whatever the sector, I mean the industry or the academia, can participate as legal entity, natural person, or consortia. For the question, what are the countries eligible for funding under the Ontochain program? So typically, this is the member state of the European Union and the associate country. Can an entity based in UK apply to Ontochain? Of course, yes, since we do not hear about something else. UK is still it's still possible for a UK entity to apply to such program. Regarding how to participate now, how do you apply? So a dedicated platform will be open to, in fact, to register your administrative data and to upload also your research proposal. This will be done in the F6S portal. All this information will be given specifically when the call, of course, will be open. Can I submit several projects, one specific challenge, or to each of the 6 challenges? We would like to advise you on that point. This call, in fact, is competitive, and the applicant should focus on one specific topic. Therefore, only one proposal per applicant may be submitted to this call, whether this is a legal entity or a natural person. This is, we guess that in order to have the best project, you should focus on one solution, let's say, on one proposal. Anyway, if you submit more than one proposal, only the last one will be kept by the system. So what information is required for the application? So you will have to provide us with some administrative detail through the dedicated platform. And of course, you will have to upload the research proposal that you want to propose. Regarding the Ontochain support now, will Ontochain mandate to build on specific protocols and infrastructure? No, it's not mandatory. The goal is anyway interoperability, so you can build on whatever is linked with interoperability. Anyway, we can propose you, and this will be the subject of the next call, the Exec platform that constitute a good basis, we guess, for projects. Who are the coaches? So it will be a set of recognized experts in the field related to Ontochain, so semantic web, linked data, ontology engineering, blockchain interoperability, knowledge management, distributed and decentralized computing, business model for trust knowledge, and so forth. Okay, so I guess that I have finished with my presentation. If there is any other question, of course, I can answer it right now if you want.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there any flexibility regarding the member state mandatory eligibility point that the application has to come from a researcher in the EU?
Can you elaborate more on your question? What do you mean by flexibility? What?
Yeah, so I'm from the United States.
Yes.
How would I go about, collaborating with a researcher in the EU to become eligible for an NGI Ontochain grant? Is there any matching mechanism that they can assist me with to find someone who is eligible so that this project can meet requirements?
The entity that will apply, or even the natural person, if it's a natural person that will apply, it's mandatory to be based in EU.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that we have other means to. I don't know, maybe my colleagues have some idea, but I'm not sure. It's the European Commission rules, for
Mm-hmm.
that applies. So it's
For example, maybe I could jump in.
Yep.
There are possibilities that you have a business entity in Europe that applies for funding, right? So I would say, I mean, there are rules that either the physical persons or the entities that participate in the project are from the side of the EU. If you want to make some other contracts with other partners, potentially this is possible. I think there are matchmaking services of the Commission, and we could just have a look. Also, I would like to mention that once the call is open, there would be a specific info sessions about the call, where you could also apply for a pitch. You could present your slides and try to find any potential partners for participation.
Great, thank you.
okay. Is there any other question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to know how long. I also pasted my question in the chat. How long it lasts the program? If my project is selected, for how long?
So for the call one, there is three phases. So that lasts altogether 9 months. The first phases will last 3 months, and the second phase, where we will retain only a subset of the initial project pool, will last 5 months. And then you have the challenge for a conference that is about 1 month.
And when is the deadline for applications for the first call?
So the deadline for application will be end of November.
My last question. Our company has been selected in a different NGI project or program, which is called NGI Ledger. Are we still eligible for NGI Ontochain if we apply with a different project?
Yes, I think there is no problem.
Okay, thank you very much.
So is there any other question? I just go through the chat to see. Okay, it seems that no. So shall we move to the next presentation now with Anthony regarding the test bed? So Anthony, the floor is.
You see my screen?
Yes.
Wonderful. So, so this week, so I'm Anthony Simone Boulogne. I work for Exec Blockchain Tech, which is a partner in Ontochain. And this week, my focus is on how the selected participants will be able to use Exec, the Exec platform, as a test bed free of charge during the project. So as a partner, we provide a certain amount of resources. And part of this is the code, the software code. So you can take the Exec software and improve it, remove some barriers and limitations, and you will be also able to use the Exec platform as a testbed for your decentralized application. So this is the focus of this talk. So I apologize in advance if you have not watched the first talk, the third talk in which I introduced Exec last week. This will be a little hard to follow. So I really encourage you to go on YouTube and watch last week's talk. But I will still take a few minutes to recap some of the most important bits. So first, Exec is a decentralized marketplace where cloud providers and consumers can meet. What it means is anyone can go and sell data, sell applications, or sell computers. Everything is task-based. You ask for an execution, you pay in with our cryptocurrency, which is the RLC token on Ethereum, and you can get something to run. So the decentralized part is interesting for Ontochain because it means that no one can actually control the platform. We cannot censor anyone. We cannot fake data. We cannot fake results. We cannot decide on the price of executions. Then because the marketplace is backed by the Ethereum blockchain, everything is traceable. Every execution is actually a blockchain transaction. And I think one last important thing is that requesters on the left here can actually be people through a point and click interface, but they can also be regular applications through our SDK and APIs. But more importantly, requesters of an Exec execution can be smart contracts. So you can imagine a smart contract that makes a call to our API or to our smart contracts to trigger an execution that happens off-chain and returns the result back on the chain. So as a quick walkthrough, if you decide to use Exec, usually in an execution, there are 4 actors, and each of them needs to create and sign an order off-chain with their Ethereum wallet. So an intent on the Exec platform, an order on the Exec platform is an intent to do something. So usually the 4 orders come from 4 different people, but sometimes you want to provide both the application and the data. So then these 2 types of order are actually created and signed by the same user. And in the case of Ontochain, if you use Exec as a testbed, you will probably need to actually sign sometimes all of the orders. So typically, we Exec will sponsor the off-chain task. So in execution, the worker pull order, which is the order for the workers that mean I have a server and I'm willing to execute this task for a certain price. This will be sponsored by Exec, so you will most of the time not need to care about this one. But typically, if you want to debug or program something, you will sign an application order, you will sign a dataset order, and you will very, very likely sign a request order. And when someone or our SDK takes these 4 types of orders and return them back on chain in our smart contract, checks and verifications happen. That's step 2. Then our proof of contribution protocol verifies that all of the balances are correct, that people are who they pretend they are. And then the application of chain triggers, it is run, it is replicated, they can be trust, they can be end-to-end cryptography, they can be result signature. And the smart contract at the end validates that the execution was correct, and every actor is paid, and the result is returned. Another interesting feature is the RLC token. So very briefly, in the context of ONTOCHAIN, this can be used to implement business models. So Thanasis will talk about business models in a few minutes. You can use the RLC token as a model to implement new incentive models, do some game theory, and play with it. To us, the interesting part about the RLC is that it can fluctuate independently of the Ether, the currency that runs the underlying blockchain, meaning that the RLC actually creates a market for the cloud computing resource. So another thing that's interesting is that it's entirely ERC20 compliant, which means that you can also integrate it in apps, in any app that is compliant with the ERC20 standard. Now, one important question is, do you have to pay or do you have to buy crypto tokens, RLC or Ether to develop and prototype your apps on ONTOCHAIN? So the answer is no, you don't have to. And the long answer is coming next. So the long answer is we actually have several deployments. And from an infrastructure viewpoint, this is what deployment looks like. And you are here on the left with your application, and you will probably enter the Exec stack through the SDK. And the SDK will redirect your request to several components, some of which are hosted off-chain and some of which are hosted on-chain. So this is very important in any blockchain, but here it's very, very critical to understand that when you run an exec execution, you have two types of nodes that you need to use. Ones are the blockchain nodes. So typically in our case, it's Ethereum, and these run smart contracts. So you need to pay for the smart contracts execution. And these are paid with gas. We talk about, doing the gas cost. And this gas cost is paid with Ether, which is the currency of Ethereum. Now you also need to pay for the off-chain execution. This is the actual exec task, which can be anything. It can be a GPU task. It can be an encrypted execution. It can be an off-chain oracle. And this you need to pay with the RLC token. So how do we do with ONTOCHAIN? Well, we have three deployments at the moment that are listed here. So the production environment, the main one is Ethereum mainnet. So everything is on Ethereum. You need to buy Ether and RLC to use it. There is a little bit of contention on the network at the moment, so the gas cost is relatively high. And of course, the compute cost, the exec part, needs to be paid. We deployed in 2018 a sidechain, which is called Belcourt, which is also in production. But this sidechain is hosted by us. It's a proof of authority protocol that runs it. And on this chain, the token is XRLC, and you don't have to pay gas. So Exec sponsors the gas. So if you decide to use this production platform, you still need to buy Ether. You still need to buy RLC, but you will not pay the gas fee. And then we have our full deployment on Ethereum Gurley, which is a testnet. So the Gurley testnet works exactly the same, except the currencies are different. So the gas is paid with Gurley ETH, which is free, and the exec tasks run or are paid with the Gurley RLC, which is also free. So for the context of ONTOCHAIN, the task that you will run will use the Gurley RLC, which is free, so doesn't have any value. But for the tasks that are run by Exec on this platform for your developments, this cost, the actual cost of running the task, will be sponsored by Exec within a reasonable limit. So more concretely, what is this girl thing? How do I find it? Where do I find it? And how do I use the Exec stack? So first about Girly. So really it works the same as mainnet. The protocol is different. On mainnet, the protocol is proof of work. On Girly, the protocol is proof of authority, which means it is less decentralized. And of course, it is a testnet. So you should not never, ever use it for real applications. But for testing your prototype and debugging, it is safe to use. And the way it works is you go to what we call a faucet. So I pointed a few links here. You go to a faucet, you just ask for an amount of cryptocurrency. So on the GETH faucet, you ask for GETH, and we have our own faucet, which is at our girly-faucet.exec. Sorry. And we will just give you these tokens for free within, also, I mean, in small amounts at a time in order to avoid spam. What it means is you don't need a credit card, you don't need an exchange, it is all free of charge, and you can start playing with your application and running experiments. Now regarding the support and the Exec stack, we have deployed the Exec version 5 stack on Girly, meaning you can use all of the features that are in production. It works exactly the same and everything is there. So you can build decentralized oracles, you can run trusted executions, you can use GPUs. We have support for the Ethereum name service, which is a good building block for decentralized applications, decentralized identity applications. And you can also use it for monetizing, tokenizing and monetizing anything with NFTs and build additional marketplaces. Every change that is made to Exec during the next 3 years will be backward compatible with this version 5. So you don't have to worry about building something on year 1 and not because it will be running the same for the 3 years. And of course, as a partner, as an Ontochain partner, we are providing support. So we just wanted to give you an overview of the support that you will receive if you decide to use Exec for your project. So this is just to ensure fairness between all of the participants. But basically, we are planning several meetings a month. So first, for each phase, a kickoff seminar in which we will present again how to use Exec more in depth, and you will be able to ask questions in a group and get feedback on your projects. There will be then one-to-one mentoring and ideation. So when your project starts, we will sit probably in a virtual room because of COVID, but we will sit in a room for a whole day and get you started with your project. Then we will have 2 meetings a month to track the progress of the project and answer your questions. And of course, we'll give you tickets, support tickets that will get priority support all over the course of your development. So I think I've said everything. I hope that was not too fast. So I really encourage you to look at the last week presentation where I point to resources and links to get started. Really look at the stack and see if it can be used, if it can be of any use in your project. Feel free to email me, follow us on Twitter. And if you have questions now, I will happily answer them.
Hello, Anthony.
Hello. Hi.
Yeah, okay. If there are more questions, maybe I could continue with my own presentation.
Of course. So let me give you the screen. There you go.
Okay. Sorry, just a second. To make the presentation in this screen, because I have two screens. Just how I do that. Okay. Good. So just in order to meet, this is Thanas Pavaion from Athens University of Economics and Business. And I'm going to talk to you about some economic issues related to blockchains in general and on-to-chain in particular. It's also one of the topics that we have in the open calls is dealing with the economics of blockchains and how to really build a sustainable ecosystem that can grow indefinitely. And I will try to tell you some things of what are the issues here, what are the problems, and what needs to be addressed in order to accomplish this kind of sustainable expansion of the whole blockchain ecosystem that we are going to build, hopefully in the project. So, first of all, let's talk about. Okay, let's say that one wants to start a blockchain venture. So normally, what do? They were doing in the previous years. This is the classical method. They were doing an initial public offering where they were offering some shares of their company to the public in exchange to some money. So it was a standard way to raise capital from public investors. And but as a result, they were losing some share of the company. So what's the current way that many blockchain ventures do things? They do an initial coin offering. So what one has to do for doing that, they just have to write a white paper about their idea, create a web page and an app, and exchange this new cryptocurrency that you defined with something. And that way, you really give away cryptocurrency, and people, I mean, they may gain access to this new platform for exchanging services within the platform that you are building, or they may have access to this app, and they can use it in exchange to some crypto, or etc. I mean, this something can be really arbitrary. So this this kind of idea of employing a cryptocurrency for really funding this kind of projects, blockchain ventures, is a standard idea right now. And there are so many blockchain ventures and so many cryptocurrencies. And since it is so easy to create a new crypto and to raise money regarding that, one has to be also very careful of what ideas out there are kind of legit or kind of reliable, and which ones are just to exchange money for nothing. So this kind of coin offerings and these cryptocurrencies give rise to a number of blockchain business models that either involve the currency, the cryptocurrency itself, or not, or real money. So I'm going to talk to you about the top 7 blockchain business models. The most common one is the one that employs some cryptocurrency. Either it's called ETH or EDU or ONT. Sorry about that. These cryptocurrencies are partially owned by the blockchain creators. They are used for compensating the initial contributors in the ecosystem. The others might be sold, and or they might also be distributed gradually or released gradually into the system, as we will see later. And they are mandatory, they are used mandatorily for exchanging distributed apps in this blockchain ecosystem. So in order to exchange apps, to access the apps in Ethereum, you need to exchange ETH. So normally, businesses hold some part of the utility tokens and release the rest, and they make their profit when the value of the utility token rises. This is the most common, as I said, business model. But they can offer also the blockchain as a service. Nowadays, there are so many companies that want to experiment with blockchain technology. So one that has a blockchain ecosystem already running can offer their system as a platform for experimentation, testing, and doing research. Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, and others have such platforms for blockchain as a service services. And then users don't have to worry about the internals of the blockchain or setting it up. They just build some distributed apps and experiment whatever they want to do. Upon a fee, of course, which can be monthly, or it can be based on the usage that that the end users do of the resources, etc. There are several ways to monetize that: flat fee, usage-based fees, stuff. And another way to, which is kind of similar to the previous one, to the blockchain as a service, is to offer the a blockchain infrastructure to third parties as a platform for blockchain development. What does it mean? It means that as we have several IDEs or several development environments, I mean, the system is offered as a development environment to third parties, not a common one as in the previous case, but individual solutions for the different third parties, where you actually offer them a platform, a blockchain platform for their own blockchain development. Hyperledger provides tools and frameworks and guidelines for that upon a fee. So another way to monetize blockchain based solutions would be to offer off-the-shelf blockchain-based software products. So third parties may not care at all about the internals of the blockchain technology and may outsource the whole development to outside companies of new blockchain systems or blockchain applications. And in this case, there is a reasonable payment upfront and some support fees after the implementation for maintenance and consulting. And there is also a way to monetize the blockchain ecosystem based on a network fee for uploading or for publishing new DApps on the blockchain ecosystem. So, for example, let's say that we have the ONTOCHAIN ecosystem and new developers come and want to publish their services on the system. They may, I mean, one way to monetize ONTOCHAIN platform would be to charge a network fee. For example, Ethereum charges developers ETH for making their DApps live, and the same happens with the NEO ecosystem. And another way to monetize blockchain technology or ecosystem would be with offering to third parties blockchain consulting on how to build their own custom projects. And examples of companies that are doing this are Deloitte, IBM, and others. And the last example, which resembles the first business model that I told you about, the tokenomics, is the P2P Services Exchange. But but we have to keep in mind that this P2P Services Exchange means that third parties employ the blockchain ecosystem in order to exchange services on a peer-to-peer fashion. But have in mind here that the monetization of this transaction doesn't have necessarily to be in crypto. It could be also in real money, and the only thing that could be facilitated by the blockchain would be the secure transaction with, among the different parties, among the different peers. So this is a fundamental difference from this business model to the first one that I told you about. So of course there can be hybrid solutions mixing all these or several of these business models together in the monetization of a new blockchain venture. Let's see some real-world examples. There is a blockchain ecosystem in Asia called Ontology, and they are employing two kinds of utility tokens, ONT and ONG. ONTs are basically used for staking, so it means who participates in the various verification decisions of the transactions, and based on the stakes, they get some portion of the ONTs, ONG, that are released periodically. So they have a nice token distribution approach there, which is a very important topic in general. That how do you do the token distribution in order to sustain the development of your system for a long time without creating any inflations or without creating any token starvation into the system. So they release these ONGs at a rate so as to distribute 1 billion ONGs within a period of 18 years. So for the next 18 years, they have a plan how to sustain the platform, but then maybe they will find another way. The plan so far is that long. I mean, it doesn't go beyond that. The NEO is another blockchain ecosystem that has a kind of similar business model. They have, again, two kinds of tokens. One is the NEO represents management rights, voting rights, network parameter changes and stuff. And gas is the utility token, which is exchanged for resources and storage and smart contracts in general. There is a relationship between NEO and gas, which is actually a variable relation. And there is again another distribution strategy, token distribution strategy that they had. They distributed 50 million tokens initially to the supporters of the platform, meaning to the initial contributors, software contributors to the platform, and and the rest, another 50 million for long-term development. So it's released periodically to new developers for expanding the whole infrastructure. So right now they are also in the position until 2020. They were supposed to have distributed the whole 100 million tokens for the development of the whole ecosystem. So it's kind of different. They are not distributed based on the stakes here, the new tokens, but in a different way. So regarding Ontochain, we have several ideas of what kind of business model could be the right one for this new ecosystem. So an obvious kind of idea is to release a new token, which is going to be linked with consensus building and to the sustainable development of the platform. So we are going to have a token distribution strategy. We need to design the token distribution strategy. We need to distribute the tokens in a way that the different worker nodes have incentives to participate into the platform and to pay for the resources that they utilize. We need to distribute the tokens so that newcomers into the platform do not have a very huge disadvantage again as compared to the guys that entered earlier in the platform. Okay, so this is part of the token distribution strategy and the way that the tokens are, or the portion of the tokens are shared between developers, services that are exchanged, and nodes, worker nodes that are doing, or the resources actually that are utilized in the ecosystem. So the tokens have to be distributed in a way or shared in a way that it's incentive compatible to participate for all of them. Also, we may utilize this ecosystem as a blockchain as a service and development platform for third-party developers to test and develop their own ideas, and to charge network fees for using to third-party DApp developers for using the network, for using the ecosystem. So these are preliminary ideas, as I said. Let's see the problem of just 2-3 minutes more of token design. As I said, you have to design your tokens in order to satisfy, let's say, all in a way, to make it profitable for all to participate in their own part into the system. So what are the aspects here for having a token strategy, for a successful token design? You have to first deal with the market design. So to see what is a new market, what is the market gap that your platform is going to fill in. So we identified, for example, the trustworthy data exchange and the trustworthy services exchange, and the trustworthy and consolidated use of data. So this was the market gap for Ontochain, for example. And there, in order to really make your token to be successful, you have to aggregate a critical mass of people that are going to acquire this token, or a critical mass of developers and DApp platform developers and DApp developers that are going to participate in the whole ecosystem. You have to solve the problem of discoverability of your market and services into the market. And you have to ensure safety of the resources exchanged, and that the tokens are distributed evenly, proportionally, incentive compatible, in an incentive compatible way among the different stakeholders. And then you have to develop your business in a similar way that you would do it for any venture, to ensure that there is sufficient market opportunity and demand for the future development of the system. So what is going to be your value offering? What is going to be, what are going to be the inflows? First of all, what's the product? Okay, then are the inflows? What are the outflows of your platform? What is there for newcomers? What is there for people, for stakeholders that are already participating into the platform? What is the market architecture? What kind of components the market builds on? So we need to have a directory service. We need to have a clearing house. We need to have a auction house. We need to have kind of billing facilities. What kind of services we need to have after the incentives are clear, after the incentive mechanisms have been designed here in the first two steps, you need actually to have the components that you are going actually to enforce this kind of token sharing into the platform and to be able to support trustworthy transactions, as we said, the end product that Ontochain is going to offer. And and finally, for the sustainable development of the platform, you need to decide how the new currency that you are developing or that you are proposing to develop, how this is going to be distributed with which process in order to make the development of the whole platform sustainable into the future, and at the same time, everybody to be happy that is part of this effort. So there are several trade-offs in these decisions: the consistency versus the performance. So the more consistent you need to, the more data consistency you need to ensure into the system, the lower the performance. There is another trade-off between security and convenience. The more security, the less convenience for the users or for the app developers. And the the more equity into the system, the less efficiency. So if everybody can do or can participate evenly, every node can participate evenly in every task, then there is normally less efficiency into the system. Another choice that has to be made is whether the data, the various data for the market development, is stored on-chain or off-chain. And one, in order to resolve these trade-offs here, he needs to, or she needs to really review what has happened by other platforms and really see what was, what are the learnings and what are the pitfalls of the previous platforms, and try to avoid them in our, or try to imitate the good things from other platforms in our new ecosystem. And regarding the token distribution, we need to ensure that the tokens end up in the right hands, as I said previously as well, to see if there is any regulation behind this, the currencies. Are we going to have a token sale, and to whom? Is there going to be a token supply after the development of the platform in the various stakeholders, as is happening in Ontology, for example? Is this rate of token supply is going to be fixed or variable? What about inflation? Do we keep any remainder funds, any kind of reserve tokens that we are going to use in the future? And how much is this remainder as compared to the total amount of tokens that we have released? And what about the accountability of what exactly is exchanged in the whole system regarding the tokens? We need always to ensure that we have full governance and accountability of the tokens that are out there. And overall, we need to sustain the economic activity of expected behaviors in the ecosystem. So this was about the Ontochain economy. These are all initial ideas, as I said. initial problems. I wanted just to give you some hints on the things that we are interested to hear from you, to hear from the guys that are going to deal with the topic on the chain economy. And yeah, I'm open to any questions if there are any.
Perhaps a quick question. So first of all, thank you for your presentation. It's interesting. Do you know of any best practices in because there are a lot of issues to be solved when launching a token economy. Is there any research into successful projects and any best practices that can be learned from this?
Definitely. I mean, out there are some kind of guidelines, but still, I mean, at the same time, there are several efforts that didn't go very well, although they followed these guidelines. So there is nothing like a golden. So there is nothing like a rule, the rule book or a book made in stone regarding how to do the things. But there are several issues that are already known that one has to be careful about, and there are different strategies. Some of them have succeeded in part, but since everything is so new, we cannot predict what is going to be the long-term effect of the strategy of NEO, for example, or how it is compared with the strategy of Ontology ecosystem regarding the long-term evolution of the system, the sustainable development of the system. So there are some nice ideas. This to answer your question, there are some nice ideas. There are some nice, let's say, guideline books or white papers out there, but there is nothing like a definite list of rules that you need to follow. And if you follow these rules, there is no chance that you are going to fail. There is nothing like that. So everything is under research still. We need to imitate some nice examples. We need to avoid some common mistakes, and we need to be kind of innovative. We need to encourage here innovative thinking. Maybe the way that other people have dealt with incentive compatibility of the different workers, let's say, is not the ideal one, and we can define a new way to do that, which is as good as the other ones, but avoids some mistakes of the other ones, or some problems of the other ones. Or regarding the token distribution strategies, okay, let's say that we also cut 1 billion tokens, okay, as the people from NEO have done, or from Ontology have done. Okay, how to distribute them? Why to keep only 20% and distribute it over a period of 18 years? And what happens afterwards? Do we have a lifetime for our ecosystem, and we say that it's going to live only for 18 years and then it dies, or then it's going to be abandoned by everybody? So we need to carefully think about all these things, but I cannot tell you that there is a definite path that one can follow and be sure that he's in the right path. I don't know if you were expecting some specific white papers and the links now, but I mean, they exist and one can find them easily. I mean, how to create your own crypto, for example, or what is the ideal token distribution strategy. They are not going to be sure about what they are going to tell you. They are going to just give guidelines. Any other question? So I guess maybe you can also ask questions to the previous speakers now here. And since it's already 10 minutes past 12, we could, I mean, hear 1-2 very short questions and then conclude this webinar in order to respect the time of everybody. So, Anthony, Caroline, what do you think?
So I think if there is no other question, we can close the session. And I would like to thank all the persons that have participated to this webinar, and I hope that we will see you in the following one. Do not forget that at that time you will have the possibility to make a pitch and eventually cross your idea with other. So please, I hope to see you for next week. Okay, Anthony, do you want to say anything else?
Same thing. Thank you for coming. Hopefully see you next week. And in the meantime, you can ask still questions on the networks.
So, okay, thank you very much. And we close the session now.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.